And when you're next to me, something I can feel so real. You shining bright, so bright, so bright. Shining light, burning bright, so bright. Listen, baby, I gotta get next to you, yeah. I gotta get next to you, yeah. Like an angel in the night. You came and rescued me, kissed me, set me free from the darkness. Angel in the night time, came to me, set me free, kissed me from that misery. And when you're next to me, something I can feel so real. You shining light, burning bright, so bright. Shining light, burning bright, so bright.
Shalom Mishka, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Jeremy Beaton. We are in today from the book of Romans, starting at chapter 14. First, I just want to show you the books that we're reading from today. The first book we're reading from is the Hidden Truths Hebraic Study Scriptures, New Testament, New Covenant. Okay. And we're also reading from, or for references also we use, the Hidden Truth Hebraic Scrolls Tanakh with commentary. Okay, both of these books were transliterated by Rabbi Simon Altaf HaKohen, from the Hebrew to the English. Okay, and they have extensive footnotes. And also, if you want to learn about the Sabbath and the feast days of Yahweh, please buy yourself the Forever-Israel Siddur, Daily Living Prayers. Okay, all of these books you can buy on Amazon. So without further ado, Romans chapter 14 verse 1. 1. Now receive the brother who is weak in the faith, and do not have disputes over differing opinions. 2. For one believes that he may eat all things, another who is weak eats only vegetables. 3. Let not him that eats despise him that eats not, and let not him who eats not judge him that eats, for Elohim has received him. 4. Who are you that judge another Yisraeli man's servant? To his own master he stands or falls. Yes, he shall be held up, for Elohim is able to make him stand. 5. One Yisraeli man esteems one day above another. Another esteems every day alike. Let every Yisraeli man be fully persuaded in his own mind. 6. He that regards the day regards it to Yahweh, and he that regards not the day to Yahweh, he does not regard it. He that eats to Yahweh, for he gives Elohim thanks, and he that eats not to Yahweh, he eats not, and gives Elohim thanks. 7. For none of us lives to himself, and no Yisraeli man dies to himself. 8. For whether we live to Yahweh, and whether we die to Yahweh. Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are Yahweh's. 9. For to this end Messiah both died and rose, that he might be master both of the dead and the living. 10. But why do you judge your brother? Or why do you set at naught your brother? For we shall all stand before the judgment seat of Elohim. 11. For it is written, As I live, said Yahweh, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to Elohim. 12. So then every one of us shall give account of himself to Elohim. 13. Let us not therefore judge one another any more, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way. 14. I know and am persuaded by Master Yahushua that there is nothing common of itself, but to him that esteems anything to be common, to him it is common. 15. But if your brother be grieved with your food, you are not walking in benevolence. Do not ruin him with your food, for which Messiah died. 16. Let not then your food be evil spoken of. 17. For the kingdom of Elohim is not food and drink, but righteousness and shalom and joy in the Ruach HaKadosh, set apart spirit. 18. For he that in these things serves Messiah is acceptable to Elohim and approved of men. 19. Let us therefore follow after the things which make for shalom, and things with which one may edify another. 20. For food does not destroy the work of Elohim. All things indeed are pure, but it is evil for that man who eats with offense. 21. It is good neither to eat flesh, nor to drink wine, nor anything whereby your brother stumbles, or is offended, or is made weak. 22. Have you faith? Have it to yourself before Elohim. Happy is he that condemns not himself in that thing which he allows. 23. And he that doubts is condemned, if he eat, because he eats not of faith. For whatever is not of faith is sin. Okay, so that now brings us to the end of Romans chapter 14. So let's go back and have a look at some of the footnotes in Romans chapter 14. So the first footnote we have is in verse 2. For one believes that he may eat all things. Another, who is weak, eats only vegetables. So let's have a look at this. So Paulus is not advocating eating unclean foods, but shows us that Hebrew believers generally had problems eating with the new Gentile converts. In the Hebrew halakha, it was established that first of all, you do not eat with the Gentiles. But if you do eat with them, then it is safer to eat vegetables, since they would not be sure if the meat is clean or unclean from the Gentile homes, and also if cut right or not, and many other factors. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 3. Let not him that eats despise him that eats not, and let not him who eats not judge him that eats, for Elohim has received him. Okay, let's have a look at this. So Paulus is saying is that if a Hebrew believer decides not to eat with a Gentile, judge him not. Let each individual decide. This is why we can see why Acts 15 and 29 injunction was important about food, as it's a big stumbling block when eating with the people of the nations who do not do things according to the Torah principles. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 5. One Yashvali man esteems one day above another. Another esteems every day alike. Let every Yashvali man be fully persuaded in his own mind. So let's have a look at this. So here the Christian commentators have taken that Paulus abrogates the Sabbath. This is the false theology of Paulus and his compatriots. Paulus cannot judge Moses' Torah and abolish anything. Yahweh judged Israel for breaking the Sabbaths, and they suffered 70 years of exile in Babylon. Jeremiah 25 and 11. Yahweh does not change. Malachi 3 and 6. Not for the false prophet Paulus or anyone else in Christendom. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 6. He that regards the day regards it to Yahweh, and he that regards not the day to Yahweh, he does not regard it. He that eats, eats to Yahweh, for he gives Elohim thanks. And he that eats not to Yahweh, he eats not, and gives Elohim thanks. Okay, so let's have a look at this. As can be seen, some Pharisees fasted on Mondays, while others did it on Thursdays. So each group holds his own, and Yahweh honors both, because they were fasting for Yahweh and withholding food. That is why food is mentioned. However, this is not a commandment, but a personal matter. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 14. So I know I am persuaded by Master Yahushua that there is nothing common of itself, but to him that esteems anything to be common, to him it is common. So let's have a look at this. So the Greek word is koinos, Strong's G2839. The word koinos is mistranslated in the King James Version as unclean. The word does not mean unclean as in the list of unclean animals in Leviticus 11, but it is more to do with improper slaughtering practices of clean animals. The issue was if food was ceremonially clean or not so. If, for example, a Gentile convert slaughtered sheep and did not drain the blood correctly, then even though the sheep is clean, but not draining the blood correctly could cause it to become unclean. And therefore, there was a lot of these types of issues to deal with. Gentile converts had issues with the Hebrew brethren who were finding it hard to fellowship with them on the table because of the issues with ritually impure food. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 15. But if your brother be grieved with your food, and you are not walking in benevolence, do not ruin him with your food, for which Messiah died. Okay, let's have a look at this. Unfortunately, when left to Gentiles, they always make erroneous commentaries on these types of verses. The writer Shaul is not saying that if your brother eats pork, you are to eat with him, as pork would be forbidden, and already all parties would know it is out and not to be consumed. But here the issue is ceremonial cleanliness of the food, and all food here is common, meaning it is accepted. Torah animals such as sheep, goats, lambs, but no unclean animals is involved. If therefore a brother feels in the ruach, in the spirit, that another brother's food is ceremonially unclean, then instead of disputing, all arguments are to be avoided. Unclean food is still forbidden, contrary to popular opinions. Leviticus chapter 11 still applies. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 23. And he that doubts is condemned if he eats, because he eats not of faith. For whatever is not of faith is sin. Okay, let's have a look at this. So the whole chapter has nothing to do with eating unclean foods, but it is to do with ceremonially clean foods, which are kosher. Okay? So that now brings us to the end of Romans chapter 14. So I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. This is Rabbi Jeremy Beaton, Chief Rabbi, saying thank you for watching, and Shalom Shalom. Baruch Shem Kivod Malkuto Leolam Va'ed. Benevolent be the name of his esteemed kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen.